Watch out, YouTube. The Federal Election Commission may be coming for you. The FEC's top Democrat is calling for more regulation of online-only political ads. She writes this, quote, "The FEC should no longer turn a blind eye to the Internet's growing force in the political arena." The FEC Chairman Lee Goodman says the Commission's approach to free speech on the Internet ought to be more restrained. He joins us now. Mr. Goodman, thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Tucker.
So explain, if you would, this idea that the FEC ought to regulate expressions of political belief online.
Well, since 2006, there's been a rule at the Federal Election Commission that was largely hands-off the Internet. And the concept that the Federal Election Commission followed in a rulemaking in 2006 was that online postings are free. And we don't regulate speech. We just regulate large expenditures for speech.
Yes.
And since online postings are for free, and there's a veritable free market place of ideas, both medium cost, low cost, and they're all treated the same, and they're accessible in the same way on the Internet, and people opt into the Internet and seek out that speech and those messages, we have not regulated them. But in a case that we released on Friday, the vote was 3-3, with 3 Republican commissioners voting not to regulate free posted YouTube videos and 3 Democrats voting to enforce the law against the poster.
Boy, I thought Democrats were for free speech. That was obviously an earlier species. So what would it mean to regulate speech on the Internet, to regulate these ads, YouTube, Drudge Report?
Well, I think this portends a great threat. When you look at the Internet today, you'll see hundreds of thousands of postings in all forms, from chat rooms to Facebook and social media to websites that people build to put out political messages to YouTube postings and, of course, blogs, right? And people have been doing this for a decade or more now, and the American people have become quite accustomed to going online and picking up political commentary and information. But if the Federal Election Commission were to start regulating all of those blogs and websites and social media pages, I can't imagine what it would take. It would probably require a team of government regulators culling the Internet daily to look for violators, to look for people who aren't reporting their expenditures online. What is the cost of a blog, for example? Would we have to start sending letters out to all these posters saying, how much money did you spend on your blog? So I can't imagine a regulatory regime reaching deep into the Internet.
It would have a huge effect on American life, that's for sure. And I mean, no offense, everyone respects the FEC, but it's an unelected body. How would it have the power to regulate political speech on the Internet? I mean, shouldn't Congress be doing that anyway?
I think you're right. Let me go back to the point I made just a minute ago. The only writ that the Federal Election Commission has to regulate political speech at all is to regulate large expenditures to disseminate speech. The Supreme Court recognized that the reason we do regulate any speech at all is to prevent corruption of the political system and the corruption that can come from contributions to candidates. But, the Internet has been a low-cost mechanism for people to speak and communicate their ideas. The little guys compete with the big boys on an even playing field on the Internet.
Yes.
And if we start regulating free YouTube posts, I want you to see what we'd be doing. We would be regulating the speech itself and not a large expenditure for speech. And so I don't think we have constitutional authority to do that.
Boy, I hope what you just said gets picked up on the still unregulated YouTube and spread around to every person who lives in this country. That's the most succinct summation and powerful one I've heard. Lee Goodman, thanks a lot for joining us this morning. We appreciate
Thank you, Tucker.
Important subject.
Thank you for having me.